which got us a lot of attention, but people still didn't really know what we did. And then even when we told them, they were like, oh, does anyone actually use this? So we decided to try and go down the customer education route and actually put customer stories on billboards rather than just plastering them with provocative rage bait. That's now word of the year. Yeah.
Jason, have you ever done a billboard?
What's that?
Have you ever done billboards?
We've done SaaStr billboards. I don't need to be on an artisan one, but they work well.
Okay, so that's just a little bit fun. Okay.
Can I ask one framing question to Jasper? I know we talked about it in the other session, but well, you can do the data on the next one. So I know this is a big launch. A lot of us have seen the billboards and the data, but just to frame it for folks, did any of these products work last year? Did any of them work before Claude 4 or any of these things? I mean, I know there's a lot of magic, and we won't get into all of it, but I don't think they worked in the 2024 LLMs, did they?
They did not, no. Like, when we initially launched, the product did not work well at all. We only really got it working properly earlier this year. And there's still a subset of customers who don't perform well in outbound in general, who still might not perform well with us. But they only started working, a real inflection point was like Q2 of this year.
Yeah, Q2, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not just SDRs. If you look at products, we've talked about it already in this study. If you look at products like Gamma that we love, they'll go 1 to 100 this year. It didn't work last year, right?
Yeah.
Gamma was founded to do PowerPoints, and I mean, it does more. We use it, but it was founded in 2020. It didn't work until Q2 of this year. Like, many of you folks are experts in LLMs. Some of you don't really use them or just do ChatGPT. But just to frame it, none of these products were great. Like, even if you look at Lovable and Replit to like 200 million in 1 year, like they didn't work. Replit was 10 years old. It didn't work until February of this year for the same reason. Lovable is 1 year old, and Replit was an IDE, and it just wasn't very good, right? In fact, Replit for me wasn't even very good until V3 of like 90 days ago. But really, it was this like Claude 4 moment where those hallucinations faded, the LLMs got better, and so if you came into this skeptical, fair enough, because these products sucked until Q2 of this year, and they're not even perfect for everybody. I know you will turn away some customers if it's not if they don't have enough data, if it's not a right fit, but don't be skeptical today. That's the whole point of this event. Lean in, but fair enough if you were skeptical in January.
Yeah, because a lot of people also tried them last year, and then they were like, I'm never trying this again because the quality wasn't that good. But there's been a lot of progress,
Yeah, so I'll show you guys our data in Artisan. So this is SaaStr's data, right? Because I was like, oh, we'll just use ours because I don't care putting it out to the world. So we've now had 21,000 messages sent. That's since annual, so like maybe 5 months, right? Because it took some time to warm it up. I tell people this all the time. Maybe you can give a better explanation. I say it takes about like 2 to 3 weeks for you guys to warm up all the inboxes. But that it's because it actually hits your inbox. But tell folks why you do that.
Yeah, so when we work with companies that don't have really strong primary domain reputation, we spin up a bunch of secondary domains and mailboxes for them. So for us, we have things like artisanoutbound.com, artisanoutreach.com, and a bunch of different synonyms. And then for 2 weeks, we warm them up, and then we run them with your name at this fake secondary domain mailbox.com, and then those run, and even if they have poor deliverability, we can just replace them if we don't want to damage deliverability of a primary domain.
And the 2 things on that, you do this for everyone. Someone was like, Jasper just did that for you. We hate SaaStr. I was like, no, they do this for everyone. Like, they just pull up everyone's domain, like everyone's domains, they get it all warmed up, and it actually hits the inbox, like not promotions, not social, like the actual inbox.
Yeah, so we only do like 2 email addresses per domain. We send under 20 emails per day per email address. We space them out a bunch. We spent about a year. That was another big thing alongside the models not working, was every email went to spam for the first 6 months. So we spent a long time optimizing, figuring out, okay, what are the different vectors we need to optimize on to actually make these land in the primary mailbox. And it's like a constant back and forth battle, but we've gotten there.
So how much of the team's time actually do you spend on that, like to get it in the inbox?
We have one person who basically does that as their whole role. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So we've sent 21,000 messages. You guys can see it there. You can do LinkedIn's on Artisan too. For our purposes, I was like, it actually works really well, but it worked too good. Like, we got, between me and David, we got too many LinkedIn messages. We're like, we have to go back to email.
That's why it's 436.
Yeah. We turned it off, actually. We're like, it actually works too well. And everyone's like, oh, SaaStr! Like, thanks for LinkedIning with me. And then they would ask us all these like advice questions, and I was like, okay, I'm going back to email because they're more focused.
So we are also. Oh, go ahead.
No, go. Listen, I get a lot of LinkedIn requests, so I have a different perspective. But it is interesting that because people do it, but it worked. It worked too well.
It worked too good. I turned it off.
Too many people wanted those requests.
Yeah.
We're actually launching an autoresponder in March, which will handle the back and forth conversation and share resources and do the actual booking of the tickets for you.
Okay.
So then hopefully
I can turn
it will flow more smoothly.
21,000 messages. Okay, I want to ask you about this. So the top is our current metrics, right? So we're at 21,000 now, about 4.5% positive response rate, 7.57 overall. Bottom I took just a couple weeks ago. So we're at 19,000. 3.7 and like 6, but also the platform got like really fast. So like what happened there?
The majority of our engineering work, we're doing this 2.0 version of Ava that we're launching at the end of Q1 of next year. But we've just been doing tiny tweaks and optimizations. This is probably the biggest thing that we do is run these autonomous multivariate tests where we're testing different variations of the subject line, the CTA, the different features and proof points in the email, and just figuring out which combinations work best and optimizing through that. That wasn't anything hands-on, it's just the self-optimization.
Yeah, because I didn't see any of that. I was like, it just got better.
What are the two lines? The top is newer and the bottom line's older?
The whole top row is the newest that I just pulled, and then the other one was from Workshop Wednesday like 2 weeks ago.
And how does it, sorry to monopolize some of the conversation, but the whole multivariant thing is super interesting. Like, how multivariant are the emails, and if you know our emails? Like, how many variables, how many are we testing?
Yeah, so there's specific components that go in. So one is the body of the email has a few. It has a feature and a solution, so like framing a pain point and framing the solution to that pain point. We run, I think, 10 or 11 different variants of that in the main campaign.
10 times 10 or 10 or 100?
10 on that one, so just 10 there.
Okay.
And then in the email we have proof points, so we have, I don't know how many, like maybe.
It depends. Yeah, you can pick. I think, your default is like 5 to 7. Some of mine I have like more. Some I actually put less. Like as I got closer to London and we had campaigns that were like just for London, I was like, say less.
Yeah. So there's two big variables.
So those two.
There's the top, which is like the connection to the individual, and then the sort of CTA solution, second one? Or?
Yeah, so personalization, solution, call to action, proof point. Those are the 4 main ones.
4 variables.
Yeah, 4 main variables, and then we're testing all of those. But then we actually run system-wide subject line tests. We were doing it on a use level. We saw better results doing it system level. And we found that like if we do 2 lowercase words, it typically works much better than any other kind of subject line.
So just because I mean you can do this ad nauseum, but most humans can only do so much multivariate tests.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, you can't process the data as a human, right? I mean, an A/B. Most of us can't do more than an A/B, but you can take this too far. But it sounds like. And we're doing this on every email campaign. So there's hundreds of variants of each campaign. You do it dynamically, and it's not going from 3.8 to 337.9, but it's a material lift from being multivariant.
I
right?
literally was like, I'm just gonna ask him. I was like, I don't know what just happened because like suddenly like the ingestion process got faster, the sequences got better, like. Just everything got better.
Yeah, we've been doing a bunch of little optimizations constantly, but most stuff's going to be at the end of Q1, so we're excited for that.
Well, it's just interesting because we've talked a lot about low-hanging fruit and humans, a great AI being better than a mediocre human. Once you dial it in, it is interesting that you can run multivariant campaigns at scale, right? It is because you can't do. I mean, you don't necessarily need an AI SDR. I guess you could do it. Maybe MailChimp offers this, right? I mean, I don't know, right? Or I'm sure HubSpot does. But you couldn't do this scale without AI, right? Some sort of at least ML to do it, right?
Yeah, I don't know what you find with most customers, but something I saw too, I was like, okay, I'm going to put this up so that people see it's not slowing down, right? Like this was literally a couple weeks ago, the bottom. This is now the top. Last night, that's now like I was like, okay, it's not getting worse over time, right? As I was like, it actually got better over time.
It's not getting worse.
Yeah, it's not getting worse. It's actually getting better.
Yeah, we see that across the board. So sometimes customers actually won't do that well in the first couple of months just because they haven't honed in on their messaging. And some industries it's much more difficult than others to get that, we call it like message market fit, where what you're saying resonates with the recipient. and it takes more effort, whereas others from day one they'll launch and see great results, but then it's always that continuous optimization afterwards to get to a point where they're getting good enough results.
Yeah.
How do we know, so I'm just very curious, it's good data. You guys keep on. How do we, so this is increase in performance through multivariate. How do we, given the scale, how do we know we're not fatiguing names, fatiguing the base, fatiguing leads? How do we know?
So you have control over the number of, it's similar to with a traditional sequencer where you have control over the number of steps that each person's receiving and you manually enroll them. So it's just down to how much workload you put on each individual user. In the 2.0 product in March, we can autonomously handle that as well, where we do it on some certain cadence, be it like every couple months, every few months, and nurture the audience continuously. But for now, it runs down.
It's a classic. You pick three before you pick. There's no great AI optimizing 3.67.4.
No, I'm like right now, like
No.
I'm picking all the pain points, the proof points, like what do I want the follow-up action to be?
Yeah.
And I do it per campaign, and I only do like 800 to like 1,000 people max per little like sub-agent campaign, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll cut it off, and then if they usually they respond after 1, sometimes they respond after 3. Mine is an exit after 3.
So we're sending more automated emails, AI emails, because we're hitting up more of the base, not because we're emailing people more often.
Correct. We're hitting more of the base. Yeah. So how we do it is like all these campaigns we're deploying on Artisan are folks that have interacted with SaaStr in some way. So they're in the base. They're also still getting, like you guys are probably getting them. A lot of you probably got an email from Amelia AI or Amelia at Get SaaStr or Try SaaStr or whatever the heck it was. And that was an Artisan email, and you probably bought your ticket from there, and that was great. And then they exit, right? Like those folks exit, and I'm not going to touch them until the next SaaStr. But they're still getting like newsletters, like if you're subscribed to the newsletter. Like I think the other fallacy people run into, and then I want to know what your customers also say, Jasper, is like I don't turn off like normal marketing, but I don't know if you find that most people still leave that on too.
Most people don't turn it off because they kind of treat it as a sales function and sales emails separate from marketing emails. Because in a traditional SaaS company, you would still get the sales sequences from Outreach or SalesLoft alongside the emails the marketing is sending you.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, let's hit the next one. So we've sent a lot of messages. Positive response rate. If you guys didn't say this earlier, thanks, Jasper, because this sold 15% of ticket revenue for SaaStr London. But why does this work, right? I think this is where folks get this wrong. And so we took the time, right, to train. Artisan calls them campaigns. I call them agents. But like you can do different sub-agents, different sub-campaigns, right? You train it differently, not just like, okay, one massive campaign and I'm going to throw all my contacts into it, or maybe my SDRs forgot to follow up with people during the holidays, and so I'm going to do like a mad rush. Like you do have to try and sequence it and segment it before you put it into the AI, and then give it very specific instructions. Do you find that people are able to do that on their own?
They usually are. Right now, we pair every user with a human CSM.
Yep.
Do you have Robert? Is Robert?
Yeah, Robert's great.
So we pair every user with a CSM so that if they are struggling and don't know what to do, then the CSM will guide them on setting things up. Yep. With the 2.0 product, we've made it very bowling alley, gutter rails up, and it's very difficult to mess up during the onboarding and setup of new agents or campaigns.
Okay.
So,
the other thing I'll say for this too is that we have different, simultaneous campaigns running. It runs at all hours of the day, so you can set this, but I think I've set it for like email people. Like for us, classic email is, oh, don't email on weekends. I'm like, no, founders, revenue leaders, I'm like, they're on Sunday. Sunday is the day. I'm like, they're catching up. They don't have any meetings. So like Sunday night, Sunday afternoon while they're having a coffee, that's actually the best time for us.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I actually anti-train, like every agent is like, nah, Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. I'm like, no. Sunday to Thursday, like 5 a.m. to like 10 a.m. I'm like, that's my time to hit my people.
Jasper, we talked about this in this session before, but can you roughly segment across your customers who's the principal owner? Is it a GTM engineer? Is it marketing? Is it RevOps? Is it a random SDR that hired last week? I mean, I'm joking, but could you really try to segment that for folks across, like who is owning it? Who's the principal owner of the SDR?
So we've now mapped out 4 different core use cases for Artisan that make it easier to understand. One where they have no SDRs and they're using us as an SDR function. In that case, the org usually isn't that mature, and it's maybe the head of sales or the founder owning it, or someone if they do have RevOps in RevOps. The other
Just to slow it down, that's a pretty early stage company, right?
Yeah.
Is the head of sales usually nerdy enough to manage it? Do they have the attention to detail?
It's pretty simple. When we pair them with the CSM can kind of monitor and make sure that it's being done correctly. There's not too many places you can go super wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so early stage founder, head of sales.
Yes,
right?
and then in big enterprise, sometimes we're doing SDR augmentation, which is where we run alongside the SDR org, get a portion of the lead flow. They hit some of the leads, we hit others. They do the dialing for the ones that Ava's doing the emails and LinkedIn messages for. That's most common in bigger enterprise.
But who's orchestrating it in that
There
scenario?
it's usually RevOps or SalesOps.
Okay.
So we have one customer who's a huge fintech bank. I can't say their name because we signed an NDA, but they have thousands of AEs. This is the AE assist use case. They send emails on behalf of thousands of AEs, fully autonomously. SalesOps manage it. The AEs get the responses in their primary mailbox with no work being done by them, and they're just getting the leads delivered to them.
Okay. So that's a so in that big case, it's RevOps that's owning it?
In that company, they have specifically SalesOps, but in a slightly smaller company, it would be RevOps.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So typically RevOps, sales leader, founder, or sometimes it will be an individual contributor in some smaller companies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But interestingly, not a lot of marketing or marketing ops in the base.
You know what? It's happened a few times. It's maybe like 5% of the time marketing will manage it. For now, I think it could shift over time as it becomes even more autonomous, because you do still need to understand sales to be able to use it well. But as we take away that barrier to entry, I think it would then potentially even be a marketing function. And with the new version, we're adding some marketing features to the sequence builder as well, like LinkedIn paid ads, so then it blends the line between marketing and sales.
Yep. Makes sense. I think the other thing on this data point, just for you guys on the slides, like, our response rate is fairly positive and high on Artisan, and a lot of it's because, again, these are folks that are quote unquote warm. Like, some of this is colder, right? But I haven't even hit all the contacts in our database yet. People are like, oh, but how much of that is cold outbound? I'm like, just wait, get an AI SDR, start to put in some warm contacts, and you're like, oh wait, I have a lot more of those.
Yeah.
like what do you just because you have all the data, like, we've primarily used it for warm. We have some colder ones, and then we had some like new ones, right? I actually just tried it with a fairly new batch, and it worked pretty good.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, those people didn't know it was that good, and it works pretty good.
Yeah.
So like, it's getting better, but I was like, even I want to stair step to that. Like, I want to try with people we know, people who've been to like a bunch of SaaStrs, get them to come.
Yeah.
Then like people who like, I don't know, I think I did it off of like, okay, who came to like Workshop Wednesday last week.
Yeah.
And there was like a bunch of new people in there, and it actually did great. I was like, okay, well, it's working its magic now. But like, where do you see people mainly email? Are they doing what we're doing with warm contacts, or are they doing cold too?
You know, the majority are actually doing completely cold net new contacts for outreach.
Oh, so I'm the opposite.
Yeah, but we are shifting more towards warm with the 2.0 product. So we're creating a lot of infrastructure around the CRM data that you have, and pulling in different context from the CRM to personalize and a bunch of things like that. Because it does perform, on average, like 2 to 3 times better when you're doing warm outbound than pure cold outbound. And then, like you said, people usually have a lot more warm contacts than they realize. Like in your CRM, you probably have hundreds of thousands of contacts who are sat there unnurtured, maybe have been touched by some marketing emails, but a marketing email compared to a personalized sales email is really not a comparison in the response rate that you receive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the same. Okay, I want to make sure we have time for questions. So, on this last one, so this is what I was talking about earlier. This is how we train it, right, and tune it. So this is where you can put in your proof points, you can put in your coaching, and this is, you can see like on the right, I put like a lot, or the left, no, the right. I put in like a lot of coaching points. Like, it didn't start with that many, right? Like I started with a few, and then I saw how the results were, and then I added some more, and then I was like, make sure you always mention SaaStr in the title, so people kind of know what that is. Like, then they'll know what this is. And so I just started to train it and tune it. And then talk to me a little bit about
can we slow this down for a minute?
Go ahead.
So I see proof points, and then I see message body coaching. Before we get there, did we ingest general data?
We ingested the website, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
so you can pick, like,
Okay,
this
so let's
adjusted the
step back. I mean,
website.
I haven't done this, but I've done it on Delphi and general agents before we even started this. You put in your URL,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just the class. And many folks, if you haven't done it, a lot of the leaders can do a basic level of ingestion. You put in your app, and you in essence scrape the website,
Exactly.
right? Did we upload any collateral or anything like that to get it going?
Right now you don't have to. We're adding it so you can as optional.
Upload your sales collateral.
Any PDFs, yeah.
Okay, yeah, add that. Okay, so you ingest some basic website and other content, right?
Yep.
That gets a base.
Yep.
And then these proof points, you wrote these, Amelia?
So it came up with some, and then
It generated from our
edited it.
It generated from our web
Yeah,
copy.
it did, yeah. So this was for London, and then or annual, nope, London, and then what I did was like I just tweaked it. Like it was pretty good. I think I only tweaked it like the left one, not that much. The right one I put more.
Okay, so you give it your URL. I mean, this takes time, but then it ingests your website, and then
Yep.
it essentially scrapes it, and it comes up with 4 or 10 ideas of messaging.
And
right?
it comes up with all the features, the pain points, everything.
Yep.
So, and then obviously there's edit. You edit it, you tweak it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tweak it,
And then step 2 is this message body coaching.
Yeah.
That's all done by the user to adjust the output of the AI email. So you can coach Ava like you would coach any human SDR to adjust the tone of voice and adjust the way that she writes. So these are ones that Amelia's added.
Yeah, I've always.
So
felt
how did this
like-
process? To share folks how we flowed from the first to the second.
Yeah. So on the first one, like it will auto ingested most of this from London, and then I just edited that. So that one was pretty easy. And then I added, okay, we're gonna sell out. It's the 6th one. I had to remember it was the 6th one. Why should people attend? Cool. And then you go into message body coaching. These I do across all campaigns though. So again, because I have multiples, I started to learn like, okay, I don't like the classic like PS at the bottom of an outbound email. So I said no PS. Put it in the beginning. I also said don't be like presumptuous. Like I don't like when the AI is like too cheeky and like tries to know too much about me. I'm like, I know you know too much about me, but like be cool, man. Start with hi or hey, keep it casual. Don't do too long, because I think classic AI is like sometimes an essay, like why you need my product, an essay. I'm like, no more than 3 paragraphs, always short, so it will purposely fit in the phone, right? So like if you're reading it on your phone, or if you're reading on your desktop, like it purposely will not fill more than like 1 email screen. Put in the beginning, make it relatable, use transition phrases, be excited. This actually cut off, I have more than this. For this one I said be excited, this is the 5th one. The next ones I have are like make sure you put SaaStr in the subject line. And then as I got closer to the event, I would say make sure you mention like these key speakers. And then I would say something like, okay, also mention, there's 20 days to go or whatever, 19 days. And then from there, it generates the message. And then I put into the sequence how many messages I want it to do.
Yeah. And sometimes we see people messing up with the coaching, and they can ruin the emails majorly with the coaching. And they'll sometimes put completely conflicting things, like make it very short, and then also I want 5 paragraphs, so then that can end up with like this. Yeah. So it's the highest risk feature.
And for us, when the first copy came out, how did you iterate when the email was suboptimal or made a mistake or you didn't like the copy? How did you iterate it in the tool?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say it was actually
Is there a screen? I mean, literally.
Yeah,
just help folks.
it literally has
so
a.
Were they test emails or the first wave
No,
of
it'll
folks
like
you
so
sent
you
out?
have to put in your contacts first. So.
And so did you like literally? Is there like I know we don't have a screenshot, but you literally click through 100 emails and just review them in Artisan?
Yes. Yeah, you can.
Is it thumbs up, thumbs down, or what's the flow?
You can give her coaching. So if you like, okay, so like because you have to put in your contacts first, I'll put in my contacts. It'll take a real contact from that campaign. And like as you're putting in the coaching, it'll say, okay, hi Jason. Yeah. This is Jason's email. So if you don't like Jason's email, recoach it so that the next person's emails is good.
I see.
Yeah.
And those are dummy emails or the
No,
live
those are
emails?
real. Like
They're real
those are
emails,
real.
but they don't send until you're done.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
They haven't gone out. So
Yeah.
They haven't gone out.
One of the ways you train it is, and it's similar to other agents, is it shows you the copy it's going to send, and you grade that copy, right? And write or edit it, and then the agent gets smarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And like ours right now is on auto, so like I'll let it like If I see that the first message looks good, like I'll let it do the next 2 on its own, but you can approve it. I used to approve them all, now I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to approve thousands.
It's a lot of work. And honestly, I was like, okay, but also like in manually reviewing all of them at the start, which I still do for like all the campaigns, is I'll see if it's making anything up, which for us, like when I didn't have the speakers on the London site, it made them up. So then I just told it like, hey, mention these speakers specifically, and then it just never did that again.
Yeah, it's a larger, I haven't seen a lot of hallucinations, and hallucinations have gotten a lot better since February or March.
They've gotten
right?
a lot better, yeah.
I would say today in general across everything we use, that the hallucinations that we still see with the guardrails, folks that figured out products are getting better, is when there is no source of truth.
Yeah.
So for all of our SaaStr stuff, before we had dates for this event, all the agents would make up the date. 100%. And they're all using the same or similar LLMs. So that's pretty bad. They would say, we'll see you on December 20th.
Yeah, I have to put in the dates.
That's really, if you're worried about hallucinations from last year, you don't have to worry too much. The big one is when there is no data.
Yep.
So that's where you have to review it. That's when it will, the LLMs are all goal-seeking. They want to make you happy. So at the end of the day, they will make something up if there is no data.
And if you tell it to mention something but don't give the thing, then it can, be a bad outcome.
Okay, let's just do some speed questions and then we'll do audience Q&A. I was going to ask you who buys it and who deploys it, but Jason already asked you.
What was the buyer versus builder?
You already asked, like, who buys it versus who deploys it.
Oh,
the
did.
RevOps,
Yeah, which we hit.
I don't want to take up all the time. Can I ask a fun question?
Yeah,
because I have a lot of thoughts on this. So there's, Lenny did one with the head of Vercel.
Yeah.
Say they built their own AI SDR.
Yeah.
Right now, we're not all Vercel.
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on that? I have a lot of thoughts. I actually think, listen, if you're Vercel and you have the perfect engineer and want to maintain something custom and do all the work yourself, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I just think only 1% of folks should build it themselves in 2026.
No, I agree. OpenAI have also built their own AI SDR internally for them to use, and it's great. So I think if you're willing to put millions of dollars of resources into building it and you have your own data and are creating a perfectly bespoke solution, it can make sense. But if you're looking to spend anything less than that, like it doesn't make sense at all to try and build your own.
Yeah.
Okay, you already hit that one. We kind of hit that one. Hold on, it's okay. Oh, this one. Yeah, what's the best campaign or sequence you've seen out of all? You've sent 25 million emails now on the platform. What's the best one?
It's actually kind of surprising. There was this company that was it was selling ice cream cones.
Okay.
to local businesses who sell ice cream. Hey,
but they already have an AI SDR, so that's pretty good.
They did not even know what AI was when they originally came in. And we have this local data set, which is every Google Maps business globally. Okay. And we're the only player with that, so it's fairly unsaturated data. They're not really getting many cold emails. And they were getting an insanely high, above 10% at one point in PRR.
They were selling ice cream cones in bulk?
Pure cold outbound, not even warm at all. Yeah, I was very surprised. Yeah.
Literally cold? Yeah, okay.
Cold out, yeah.
That's a fun one. Any use cases like that you've seen that maybe we haven't thought of or touched on?
So we're leaning now more into signals with the current product and with the 2.0 product launching in Q1. We've now launched web visitor de-anonymization, so we can de-anonymize traffic on your website. We've launched funding signals, so if companies raise Series A, Series B, whatever else. Hiring signals if they're hiring for a certain role. With the 2.0 product, we're launching a couple dozen of those for a bunch of top of funnel cold intent signals, and then you can monitor lists for warm intent signals as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, any other questions before we ask the audience?
I have always plenty, but no, let's move on to some questions. The one thing I would just say to folks in general, adding all these intent signals that you talked about, the pace of innovation overall in agents is furious.
Yeah.
And Artisan's a very slick tool. It is great. Ultimately, there's a lot of APIs and other third parties you're integrating under the hood, and the pace of sub-innovation, one Artisan's got 50 engineers building stuff for you, but the other vendors in AI that you can introduce, the amount of functionality is exponential. Yeah. Right? You can't build everything yourself, right?
Yeah, it's impossible.
But I'll give you a small example. It's not even an Artisan, but when I started using Replit, all of a sudden it added, you could buy a domain. Okay, you don't just biodomain, it works in like 10 seconds,
Yeah.
right? It does it all, it gets the C name and the SHME name, and it just instantly works, but Replit didn't build its own DNS and domain server,
API,
right? And I don't care,
Yeah.
because the integration is so good, right? So I don't know how you de-anonymize the visitors and whether you built it or use it. It really
APIs
doesn't
for the most
matter.
part,
Yeah. So you're going to get a pace of, you should pick a vendor where you're going to get hyper innovation, because all of that San Francisco energy and London, building these AI products, you should benefit from it in your agents. Your agents should get hyper, like, you shouldn't expect an annual release with 3 features like in 2021.
Yeah.
You should expect massive innovation every quarter because of the rest of the innovation in the industry.
Exactly, yeah, because all of the players, especially in SF, are leaning on each other and using each other's APIs to build these next generation of products. Like, it's never one vendor building in isolation, it's a whole network. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, there is a microphone on a stand right there in the middle aisle. So if you guys want to come ask your question, just go up to the mic and we'll try and do as many as we can. Yeah, you got it.
Hi, my name is Wolfgang. I work in sales, and I have bought a ticket through your AI
There you go.
activities.
Nice.
And it probably was the best outreach from an AI bot I had this year. But can you also talk about the crap that is going out, that is being enabled through tools like Artisan, and where this is leading?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of tools that just let you unrestricted send tens of thousands of emails that are basically spam cannons. We focus on still high volume but lower volume, like low thousands per month for each user, all very personalized, all very targeted. But there is some players in the space that just let you spin up thousands of random domains that don't look anything like your own and send tens of thousands of contacts a month emails that are complete spam, but we're not leaning into that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for buying from Ava.
A question for Artisan. We've been talking quite a bit about coaching the AI to make it better. I was really curious, do you see in your data, is our human intervention improving the results? Or not?
You know what, usually it actually is an improvement when people do coaching on that. I think it's because they know their own persona and they know what they should be saying to the people they're reaching out to because they've done it for years.
Yeah.
So usually it is. There is a case where like roughly 10-20% of the time the coaching actually makes the performance worse. Which is usually where someone who's not from a sales background or doesn't really understand outbound does it, but typically, yeah, it improves performance.
And what's your prediction for the future, just as a follow-up?
I want to get to a point in the next year or two where you wouldn't need to coach it because it understands so well, or you add suggested coaching points, Ava will test them, use them if they actually do improve the
Well, that would be
outcome.
nice, right? Like right now I have to break everything up. Like if I was like, okay, instead of here's 800 and I've done all the segmenting, if it actually did that for me.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, that's where we're headed.
It's manual right now, but it does work.
Hi, my name is Elias. I work at a 100 million ARR HR software company, and we have 150 SDRs. So how would you sort of like go about fading in AI and a version of AI SDRs, knowing that you already have quite a few headcount that you cannot just let go from one day to another?
Yeah, this is a use case that we're playing more into as well with the 2.0 product we're launching in March. Right now, what we typically do if a company has a lot of SDRs is take a portion of the lead flow that they're reaching out to and reassign those to the AI SDR, and then have them do the dialing steps for the AI SDR, compare results and review. Otherwise, often if you have that many SDRs, you also have a lot of AEs. The AEs usually aren't doing much outbound, so we'll take the AE population, send outbound on behalf of them, and then alongside the human SDR channel they have, they're getting these autonomous leads from the AI SDR too.
Most AEs do no outbound.
Yeah.
Not even low. I was like, that's generous.
And what about the phone? We still convert quite a bit on the phone. I don't see phone anywhere on the.
Yeah, so we're actually in the 2.0 product. We're launching a human dialer within our products and a voice agent. So for higher intent leads or where you legally can't do AI phone outbound, you can have the human dialer built in and have your reps doing phone steps. What we do with bigger customers right now is in parallel run dialing sequences alongside the email and LinkedIn sequences.
Thank you.
For sure.
Hey, my name's Michael. I head up RevOps for a fintech firm based out of London. So we've been looking at AI BDRs for a little bit of time now, and there's a couple of vendors I've been looking at. I just want to understand what makes Artisan different, because when I look at the build of the products, there's a lot of similarities within it. And a follow-up question to that, like what's next on your roadmap and how are you going to differentiate for the future?
Yeah, I think that the biggest difference isn't even in the current materialization of what the products look like. It's in the future that you're investing in by purchasing a product. Like we have a very, very, very aggressive roadmap for the next year. We're launching Ava 2.0 in March. She'll be significantly more autonomous with things like an autoresponder and making the messaging do itself rather than Amelia having to edit every single thing herself. And we have a very clear roadmap, and we've spoken to customers a lot over the past 2 years and understand exactly what they want. So I think you're investing in a future outcome. But we actually do have a lot of fintech customers as well. I wouldn't say the majority, but a lot of the neobanks use us.
And you're like SOC 2 compliant, right? I think.
Yeah, we have SOC 2 compliance,
of
course. Yeah.
What markets do you feel you resonate best within? So if I look at our client or ICP, it's big banks, it's hedge funds, it's pension funds, any kind of company that processes a high volume of transactions, but a very large enterprise, long sales cycle, super complicated, right? Do you resonate well with that sort of a sales cycle, or are you resonating well with other types of sales cycles?
Yeah, right now we don't work that well when you have complex, high-touch enterprise sales cycles. It can work, but it's usually a lower response rate just because they're more difficult to reach. You need to do multi-threading. We're adding functionality for that down the line, but right now it's best for SMB or simple enterprise sales cycle outreach. And yeah, with the fintech customers we have, they're usually trying to get people to use their bank account products. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi guys, thanks for that. I enjoyed that. Andrew McCourt here. So I'm a GTM engineer in the process of setting up my own agency, so I thought I'd just get that vested interest out of the way, out of doors. Question for you is, at what point does it make sense for an artisan, like a plug and play method, compared to an agency? And as someone who used to be an SDR, I agree with your point earlier on, I think SDRs are not going to have a very long shelf life. But what makes sense for artisan and what makes sense for a more kind of boutique consultant experience?
Yeah, so it's significantly cheaper if you're using AI than hiring an agency or hiring in-house SDRs. So I think that's typically the biggest point. But you actually often, in the long run, see better performance with an AI SDR than you would with an agency or a human SDR. Not typically at the beginning. At the beginning, it will be slightly worse. But as we do these optimizations over time, we get to a point of parity and then go beyond that point of parity with human versus agency SDR outreach. But for example, if you use an agency, they're usually charging you based on the outcome, and getting 500 positive responses would be significantly more expensive than our product.
Yep. Yeah. And for one of the outbound campaigns I ran that has basically an email saying, I listened to this podcast, thought it was great, and then the person came back and said, oh, brilliant, I want to book that meeting. Never listened to the podcast, so I hope they're not here because I didn't listen to the podcast. But how do you use that kind of LLMs to do the research and customize it? I know you said you have that kind of like settings, or you have your kind of, you can adjust it. What makes Artisan customize it more and like make it look like, oh wow, this person has done the research?
Yeah. So we scrape a lot of data to personalize the emails. We get things like LinkedIn posts, press releases, funding announcements, anything we can find publicly, we'll try and use to personalize the email. And then we have a reasoning model that looks at all the data available and chooses the most relevant one for each individual message. In the 2.0 product in March, we're also letting you instruct Ava to find any information that's publicly available. So you could say, I know, do they have a SOC 2 compliance badge in their website footer? So there's a lot more flexibility there. But right now we have a predefined list. We've figured out what works well, what doesn't, and we prioritize the ones that work well.
Thank you.
For sure.
Hi, my name is Frederick. I come from a company called Mentimeter. We are product-led B2B SaaS. And I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit about leveraging product signals as a part of the outreach. We have 30 million users, 1.2 million using organizations, and that's a gold mine for us. But how could we incorporate using that?
Yeah, so we're actually building this right now, like it's in the current engineering sprint, is upsell and cross-sell campaigns using product data and using that as both signals and context for the emails. So that will be coming in a few months.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples or any other customers right now that are trying to do that?
We get that request more often than any other at the moment. You can do it now, but you have to hack it together. It doesn't use all the data.
What's the top request?
Upsell
Using
and cross-sell
product signals
campaigns.
on
So
the
using
campaign.
product
yeah,
data.
like you'd have to coach it right
Yeah.
now the way I did, right? So like instead of it being automated, like right now you have to say, okay, I'm gonna bucket these people maybe in one certain signal and this certain thing in the product, and load them in the meantime, right, and train them that way on like a one-off, versus it would be automated.
Yeah, it will be automated and use all the context from either your CRM or from your product analytics tool and put that in as the personalization or use it as context for deciding what product to upsell and cross-sell to.
Perfect, thank you.
Cool. We have time for one last question, so yeah. Go ahead.
I'm going to cheat because I have two. So, hey, my name is Scott. I'm the CRO and partner in a specialized CRM company, mainly based in North America, about 10 million. My first question is, are you CRM agnostic?
So we integrate with HubSpot and Salesforce right now. We're actually working with Ampersand, who I see are also sponsoring for the 2.0 version. We'll have a bunch more CRM integrations available.
Excellent. The last question is, and what about SMS? Have you looked into that?
What was the question?
Are you adding text messaging?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so we might. So text messaging is risky because it's mostly illegal, but people just do it anyway. Yeah, but we will see. We might if we can figure out how to do it in a regulatory friendly way.
Complicated.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks everyone.
Ask one
Thanks,
question? Are we out of time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a meta question. Someone asked me in the prior session that was selling to defense and others.
Yeah.
In the whole industry, security.
Yeah.
So you've got our CRM is Salesforce. It could be HubSpot. There's a set of and now with all my agents, I'm reproducing this data across multiple agents. The agents are storing this data, so they can act on this data. Just any meta thoughts on all of this? I mean, listen, in sales we often take more risk than in other areas, but with regulated clients as you're getting into, what are any meta thoughts on security and agents? I mean, like Gainsight's been shut down for 2 weeks. I don't know if you know this.
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, well, Drift had a security breach with OAuth.
Yeah.
It's been offline for 6 months. That was related to another breach, and then Gainsight has an OAuth thing.
Yeah.
Gainsight's been offline for 2 weeks.
Completely?
Completely.
Oh, wow.
Now, you can use their web app, but it has almost no value outside of Salesforce.
Yeah.
So Mixpanel just had an OAuth breach, kicked out of OpenAI permanently.
Oh, wow.
This last week, permanently. So I'm just using, because we take risk. It's minor for us. But I think our agents are exposing our data in many more places than 12 months ago. I don't have the answers. I'm just curious if you have thoughts on it.
Yeah, so we heavily limit the data that we give Ava and that we give the agents to do the outbound. So we're literally just giving the inputs for the email. And then before that, it's not even really an agent that handles the data collection before that. It's the user and it's the interface. So we're not actually giving any PII to the agent. That will actually change in 2.0 where we do have the CRM data, but we're letting the user choose very specifically which fields are being used and how in the different email components.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to have the lightest touch on my data stored in Artisan, what's my option?
You don't even have to integrate CRM. Like you can have a DNC that pushes daily without
Ours
any CRM
isn't.
integration. Oh yeah, yours isn't. Yeah.
I was like, ours literally
So that's
isn't.
like minimum possible. We don't have anything. We couldn't breach if we
You're
if we wanted
keeping nothing.
to. Yeah, we keep nothing. We keep like the email content which you're sending to someone anyway as a cold email.
All right, yeah, it's important. All right, it's just there's so much going on. I mean, it is literally we are as exciting as the world is in AI. We're also seeing. I mean, this Gainsight Salesforce stuff. With Drift, they stole 700 companies' data, including Cloudflare and others, and they're auctioning it now. It's not fixed.
Oh, wow.
And the guys that broke into Gainsight and Drift are the same folks. These are aggressive actors asking for millions and millions of dollars to not leak your Salesforce data.
Yeah.
So, the option to degrade this, to have the limited amount, I think, is a big deal. And this almost has nothing to do with the data. They're just using an OAuth token, but not to get off topic, but I just think it's interesting, and it's good that you can degrade whatever you want in Artisan to store the least amount of data, right?
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
exactly.
All right, sorry to monopolize.
No, thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Enjoy London, my hometown.
everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our talk. Ashley, one of the co-founders of Momentum. I'm really excited to be joined by another Ashley from Contentful, one of our customers. When the SaaStr team asked us to come and do a presentation for the AI school, we talked about having a customer come with us, because I think it's really important to show real results, especially, of course, as a vendor. You can hear me talk all day long about how you could use a tool like Momentum, but I think it's very powerful to hear from somebody in the field, in RevOps, and talking about how this is actually being applied. So hopefully this is a useful talk for bringing some of these ideas back to your organization. So why do we exist? I think we all know that our teams, our sales teams, our CS folks are on calls all day long. And we're capturing those calls in 2025. They're sitting in a call library somewhere. Some of our customers have all of those transcripts sitting in an S3 bucket. We don't have a problem of data collection anymore. We've all accepted that calls should be recorded. We've accepted that go-to-market data should be captured. The challenge is that the CRMs were not built to capture that data. What have we been doing this whole time? We ask humans to be the conduit of the data that's being shared between the prospect and your team. So what does that look like in practice? Tons and tons of validation rules, us all being frustrated that we don't have any data in the CRM, our CS team and our leaders not knowing when churn is going to happen. And it's because we are just moving into a different world that needs different technology and different systems to help us leverage everything that's being captured. So when you think about how this is going to look in the next 3 to 5 years, if we all believe, which I think we do because we're here, that AI agents will be running a lot of our day-to-day work, AI agents need data. 70% of AI projects fail because of lack of quality data. So we really need to think about this as a data problem that needs to be fixed for a data-driven future that is being run by agents. And so kind of the before world is human execution of the CRM fields. And what do we get from that? It's usually empty. Today, we have agents that are running workflows. We have Agentforce. We have tons and tons of kind of agent platforms. But again, the underlying data structure is missing. So we believe that those who have a go-to-market data foundation will really be able to move ahead of their competitors as we go into this next year and beyond. So if you think about a tool like Momentum, we really are AI native go-to-market infrastructure. Of course, you could use us for, capturing calls, a call library, writing notes, updating fields. But underlying all of that is capturing all of the data that's flowing through your business, whether that's a Zoom call, maybe it's a dial pad call with your SDRs, it's an email being exchanged, it's a support ticket, it's a chat. All of that needs to be captured because all of that is actionable go-to-market data that your teams could be leveraging. It needs to come into a system and be structured and cleaned up. In all of those conversations, the first 5 minutes of any call is some nice chit-chat, but that's not really useful to your business. So we need to kind of make sure that that all gets filtered out and we're only focusing on the relevant parts of the conversation. Then you need to make sure that there are signals and actions that your team can take. So if your customer is getting on and saying, hey, I'm unhappy, I did not get the support that I needed, you should be able to take action on that the moment that you hear about it. In the old world, you're waiting for your CSM to update your team in a meeting that maybe makes it to a manager, that ultimately makes it to leadership, usually when it's too late. Now we are able to drive the signals the moment that the customer is saying it or the prospect because we're in the conversation and we're there at the moment that those things are being said. The final thing is that whether you want to build your own agents, use a platform like Momentum, again, you need to be able to have the underlying data that will then power your agents to do the work for you. And really the ultimate goal here is to just replace so much of the manual work that we are expecting our teams to be doing. So what's possible when it comes to AI RevOps? Today, we think that fixing the CRM is just ground stakes. We should all be doing that and accepting that. In the last 2 years, we've been working with companies to help them fill in their Salesforce automatically. And whereas 2 years ago, we had to kind of convince companies to start with confirm to write, make sure that they accept the values, make sure that the reps have say, more and more companies are coming in and saying, after a short period of trial and error, I want to just do this on autopilot. I don't want to have my reps involved at all anymore on data collection. I just want to push the data into the CRM, whether that's a medpic, updating medpic, maybe it's capturing a next step after every call, notes after CS calls, AE to CSM handoffs. It's pretty limitless in what you could do. From there, once you have data in the CRM, then you actually can start to have a real pulse on your business because it's based on what is actually being said in the conversations. You can take a lot more action quickly and get a better handle on what is going on across your go-to-market team. From there, you can move into coaching and improvement. I think that we're moving away from a world of coaching on a per-call basis where your manager carves out an hour a week to go through calls and, on 2x speed and leave comments. You can actually do AI-driven coaching that coaches after every call, scores against competencies that you care about, and do this at scale so you can really see the trends. And then finally, what does all this mean for the business? All of this needs to bubble up really into aggregation. So you need to be able to aggregate the data across all of the data sources, across the teams, and across time. So if you think about that, you basically could start to run a close loss report for the last quarter that before would take you hiring an agency, a consultancy, it would take them 90 days, interview a bunch of your teams, and really they're just sampling your data. They're maybe sampling 15 opportunities, they're talking to 15 customers. Now you can do this across your whole pipeline. You can do this across every deal that you closed, won, or closed lost. And you can get insights that you can bring back to your C-suite, your founders, your CEO, and make real business decisions. So I'm excited to introduce Ashley to kind of talk about what they've actually been able to do at Contentful at scale and in real life practice. So I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Fran. So Ashley Blackwell-Guerra, I work for Contentful. We're a digital experience platform, about 900 people. I'm going to talk today a lot about our 400-person field organization, but we're powering digital experiences for the Gucci's of the world, the IKEA, Home Depot. But I'm going to go ahead and start with what I think is the money slide here. What is the impact we've had with Momentum since we launched in May? What we're seeing is on a per rep basis for opportunities, we're saving about 2 to 3 hours of time for them in their week. And so when we consider the fact that Momentum is touching everything from our BDR to our post-sales team, that is going to equate to tens of thousands of hours that they are no longer spending on heavy admin tasks, but freed up to be more present in their customer conversations or internally as we strategize about how to move our deals forward. We've also seen positive impact in the way that we move through all of our different opportunity stages. And in fact, we're seeing a reduction in days per stage, and we're seeing our rep productivity on an ACV level up 25% year over year. In addition to launching Momentum in May, we also decided as a company to switch our selling framework in September to MedPick. So having a tool and a system like Momentum as a rallying point has bolstered our ability to now speak a common language across a global sales team, but also just have all of our systems in place to support that transition. So our adoption is up, and I think you see that in the numbers. Ashley alluded to the fact that data before the Momentums of the world, you relied heavily on your AEs or your CSMs to enter in information about opportunities or accounts in between calls at the end of their day before their forecast. We have adopted the automatic sync to Salesforce, and that has greatly improved not only the context and the richness of the data inside of Salesforce, but also the immediacy of that data's availability, which helps me in operations send information to the right people at the right time to make business decisions. And then finally, bringing a lot of these insights to our frontline ICs and managers and up into the altitude all the way to our C-level has really improved our ability to coach and speak that common language that everybody is familiar with, and then bring insights to other orgs. So we started to focus on our field org, and week over week, different orgs, be it marketing or product or partnership, I get a Slack that says, hey, I've heard about what you're doing with Momentum. I'd love to speak with you about a couple different use cases. And so now I'm going to go ahead and back you into how we got to some of these impact metrics. So the initial use cases that we started with, and by the way, this time last year, Contentful wasn't doing anything with AI. So all to say, with a great partner like Momentum, you can very easily go from 0 to 1 or 0 to 2 in a short amount of time. But we really wanted to take the burden off of ICs and managers in terms of that manual data entry. And when we looked at the required fields within Salesforce, going all the way from consideration, where a BDR first starts to talk to our prospects and customers, all the way through procurement, there were 60 fields that we were asking them to fill out and maintain through that opportunity lifecycle, which is a pretty big admin burden when we really want them to just show up and have great conversations with their customers and not also be thinking about the next question or taking notes during the same time. So that was a business challenge we were hoping to solve. Second to that was bringing managerial insights and coaching to those frontline managers and ICs. If there are managers in the crowd, you know that it's nearly impossible to be on every single call with all of your reps. And so having something that brings insights into Slack or insights into Salesforce makes your job easier at scale. And our current, or prior to Momentum, we were using Chorus exclusively, and what we saw was we had over 6,500 customer-facing calls, and Chorus offers what are called scorecards as their mechanism for coaching, and we completed 7 last year. We also looked at manager engagement, and of those 6,500 calls, less than 500 were actually actively reviewed by their managers. So when we talked to them, we realized really quickly the technology we were offering wasn't serving, and ultimately wasn't serving our field ICs in getting better. And then finally, we knew that we had a wealth of information within Chorus and our legacy customer information, and so we challenged ourselves to say, how do we dig deep and identify which of those insights are valuable? How do we make those trigger-based? How do we figure out who needs them and when to send them? So those are our initial use cases. I like this next slide thinking about where Momentum fits. And so I'm going to spend a second here, but what you see across the top are all of our opportunity stages from a very initial deal, even before an opportunity is created by our BDRs, all the way through our post-sales process. And underneath that, we have a Momentum program that is automatically running per role, per stage of the customer journey. I will dig into a few of them, but as we sort of go left to right, getting insights into how our BDRs are positioning for coaching there, and also the transition to the AE. Also, how we capture information in our custom MedPick app that I'll show in a second, how deal rooms and the concept of how we work together in Slack comes together, and how that transitions when we close an opportunity into an account room, where we bring in all of that pre-sales information now to an account room. We bring in our post-sales folks, and it really improves the experience internally, but ultimately it means we show up to that first conversation with our new customer ready to go. And then there are other sort of ancillary benefits. We can start to send signals around churn. We just launched a brand new top 100 program where our ELT members now have visibility that they've never had before. And at the bottom, you'll see examples of product and marketing signals that happen throughout that customer lifecycle. And we're just getting started, but I could see by the end of next year, hundreds, if not thousands of different signals, because people want very specific information to do their job at a specific time. But just to call back to the last slide where I mentioned we had 60 required fields that we were asking folks to fill out. We now have 42 of those 60 fields automatically populated by Momentum. So you can imagine the efficiency gains and how happy our reps are to no longer have to do that manual data entry. Some current use cases and a little bit of a deep dive. What you see here is the in Slack experience, and you see some of that collaboration early. Amy on our enablement team is talking to Barry, who is one of our regional sales directors, giving him some insights into what she saw happen on a customer call. And what Barry is doing is he's leveraging the Momentum app in Slack. And he very bravely, right when we launched MedPick in September, was asking Momentum to look at a call transcript and figure out insights based on the MedPick acronyms. So this is insight that he would have had to have actually gone through Chorus, looked at the call, gone through probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes of information, when in reality, he's able to ask a question, and Momentum is able to query back to our selling framework and give him answers. So the MedPick app in Salesforce, what you can see is this is custom built. It lives on our opportunity object. And behind every single call, we are looking on a 0 to 3 basis across those MedPick acronym letters. And we've defined what really good looks like as a 3, all the way down to 1 or to 0, which probably means we didn't capture anything around metrics or economic buyer. And so that's firing behind the scenes constantly. And this is what it looks like when a rep clicks into the MedPick app. On the far left, you can see the MedPick acronym letters. You can see the context that Momentum has found for a given call around those letters. The next column over, you see the 0 to 3 score that Momentum has given that particular context, and also the rationale why. And then on the far right, we have an editable dropdown that's available to our AEs and to our RSDs, where they can review what's there, and if they don't agree with it, all of these fields are editable. So they can go in and add context that might be missing, and then in the background, it will rescore. That's all important because we are starting to bring the Momentum score and the AE score into our forecasting tool. So when I talk about Momentum at different altitudes, our SVP of EMEA, our CRO, are on these weekly global forecasting calls, and it gives them a glance of an insight of how far along we are with MedPick, and also why there might be a delta between what their AEs are seeing and what Momentum has said. So in a very easy way, they can then ask better questions in that forecast call around the common MedPick language, and if they need to, set up a deal review where they can go in depth to the opportunity and figure out where our gaps are. The What We Heard slide is, again, powered by Momentum. The end output is a slide that our sales team uses, and it's fueled by the context from calls and largely serves as an agenda slide. So it's capturing context. It gives us a nice slide output when you hit save and then generate slide. And what we're hoping is it provides a better customer experience early on in the discovery process where we have a conversation, we're reflecting back, this is what we know about you, this is what we've heard, what are we missing? And so that is, I think, a major reason why we're starting to see an acceleration through our stages, but also helps us to show up better in front of our customers. I mentioned signals. I've got 2 examples here. And so anytime that a specific trigger or theme happens, that's a good use case for a signal. The first of which, up at the top, is one that our CMO came to me and her marketing team came to me and said, hey, we just spent a ton of time and money producing an article with The Atlantic. I want to understand how often we're talking about this article. I want to understand how the AE is positioning this article, and I want to understand the sentiment from the customer. And so that gets sent to her and her team via Slack in real time. And then the bottom example is out of our SE organization, but it's a capacity example. So beyond just our sales engineering team, which is smaller, where they need to understand how to adequately staff those SEs on deals, professional services likes this a lot. I think that there are probably other capacity-related use cases, but basically, Jonathan is his name. He's our SE manager. He needs to know for later stage opportunities how qualified they are and get caught up to speed with whatever the context is so that he can adequately resource the solution consultant for a lot of our enterprise customers. So that's pretty neat with what he's doing there. Future use cases. Momentum Coach. I really like this, number one, because it bolsters what we want to do with frontline managers and coaches, because after every single call, it's going to filter up recommendations and next steps around competency models. So separate from MedPick, we've got enablement programs that help us position against competitors, how to do great objection handling, how for a brand new AE to Contentful to understand MedPick. And so this is a really, really promising tool to help get them even better tactical insights to then go execute, have better one-on-ones, have better team calls. And then the enablement team, I think that this is their secret weapon, because if you get all of that information in aggregate, you start to understand, hey, these programs and these competencies that your team is spending time on, where you're training in person, how are ICs doing against those? How are pods or region or globally, how are you doing? And so you get very, very in-depth information into maybe there's a program that's not working as well in EMEA as it is in North America, or maybe we're identifying an entire gap where we don't have a program where we want to go next. So I'm super excited about Momentum Coach. I mentioned our executive team is now getting more and more sticky with Momentum. We out of the gate started our focus on opportunities. We're now shifting more towards post-sales and accounts. And so all of our ELT has some number of sponsorships within this top 100 program. And so anytime there is a call, pre-sales call, QBR, you name it, this channel in Slack gets pinged. They are notified, and so at a glance, they have the opportunity to understand what's happening on a call, but also dig in and ask questions and follow-ups. Like if our CMO knows that she's meeting with IKEA later in the week, she's gonna wanna understand what is the context, what's the overall relationship, what are we doing, what are they saying about our product, so she's better prepared. And then a huge focus for us too is the shift towards bringing account level summaries. So not on an opportunity by opportunity basis, but what's the whole context of the customer relationship to date? And how do we bring those insights, be it feedback that they might have or churn risk quotes that they might have had, all the way up to the executive summary. Who are we dealing with? What do they care about? Why did they initially buy Contentful? And bringing that into Salesforce at the account level. And then finally, to bring this home, every company that I have ever worked with has the internal problem of the AE to post-sales handoff. And so this is an example of what you can do both in Slack, and then I'll show a Salesforce example. But at the point that an opportunity close wins and we change over from a deal room to what we call an account room, we are able to build prompts and bring in the relevant context for those post-sales people, so that they feel like not only can they collaborate and ask questions of their pre-sales counterparts, but they have a whole bunch of information at their fingertips that they can also self-serve and ask questions. So we're showing up better in front of our customers. So this is a Slack experience, and then this is ultimately what this will look like for us at the account view. And this will continue to update itself after every single customer call. So, you know, we're not overwriting information, we are appending information, but it just becomes instantly easier for new folks who are inheriting new books of business, the internal, you know, handoff process, our ELT who has to get up to speed really quickly on what the outlook of the customer looks like. But with that, I just want to say, if you are a RevOps person in the audience, and you are looking for a way to take your company from 0 to 1 or 0 to 2 in less than a year, this is the vendor to do it. I think these use cases make a ton of sense. I think for the most part, everybody feels similar pains to what I've described here. And I'm so grateful for the partnership and the support that the Momentum team has given us. And I mean, we're just getting started. So I'll turn that back over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think to kind of wrap up, I wanted to share that we do have a booth, and so Ashley is going to be around today if you want to see a demo from us or dive into more things from her team and go a little bit deeper. We'll both be around today, so happy to answer any questions. I also wanted to plug our book, not to just plug the book for book's sake, but we wrote a book recently about applying AI to your go-to-market strategy. And the impetus for the book was we just got a lot of questions from folks in our network and our customers saying, hey, I'm getting started with Momentum, but what else should I be doing? What else should I be doing for my top of funnel? What should I be doing for CS? What are other ways that I could leverage AI? And we realized that we didn't really have a great answer for that because we're kind of in our little world. And so we interviewed about 30 folks from amazing companies, from 11 Labs to Owner to Demandbase. And we asked them, what are you doing? What are you excited about? What's not working? What's working? And we turned it into a book. So there's 13 chapters. It covers everything from forecasting to coaching to top of funnel to compliance and security use cases. So we'll have a couple of books at the booth. First come, first serve. Happy to give those away. And if anyone's interested, you can buy it on Amazon or you can just come talk to me and I'll make sure you get a copy as a SaaStr friend. But I think we probably have time for maybe one question, and then if there's any other questions, we'd be happy to see you at the booth. Brave soul.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, was there a question or is it just
Yeah, I think, we would love to show it to you. I
Yeah.
think you should come by the booth and we'll happy to give you kind of a full
Yeah.
demo of what
I'll
they've
pull out
built
my
and what we
laptop and you
have.
can see it in real
So.
time. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Thanks.
thanks for you guys. So give them a round of applause. Just by show of hands, who's seen like a clay billboard, clay anything? Okay, you got some fans already.
Let's go. Well, that just means they've seen it. That doesn't mean they're a fan. They liked it.
Fair enough. All right, so we're excited. We have Varun here today. We're going to take some questions. So if you want to send me your questions on the live stream, we'll do some spicy questions at the end.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to ask for like 2 tributes later.
Okay, great. And keep it, we want to make this very engaging. We want to make this very, conversational and interactive. Yeah. So, bring out your hardest hitting questions. Like, let's make this fun.
Yeah. Okay, so this will be fun. This will be like a little bit different from what we've been doing today. So you guys have like a nice break of, you can eat your lunch. We're going to growth hack with you during lunch. It'll be a fun time. Okay, so that's the kickoff. So for those who maybe don't know Clay yet or haven't seen the billboards, you guys have, a bit of a reputation for like going viral, doing all these like crazy marketing things. Like, I know you guys have sent people like clay figures of themselves. You sent like CROs like their fat heads or something. And then you made like I think like a black and white kung fu movie. Like, you've done a bunch of crazy things. Like, is this just you telling the team? Like, where does and your shoes are even like his shoes.
The shoes are great.
His shoes are brand.
Yeah.
Like everything is brand. So like, where does all that come from?
Well, maybe I'll just explain Clay for just a minute. People have some baseline and understanding if you aren't familiar. Basically, we are trying to help everyone in this audience grow their business. At the end of the day, everyone here has a TAM, and everyone has an existing set of customers, and you're just trying to find the delta. And the only ways you can do that are by converting your inbound, by getting outbound, or taking your existing customers and expanding them. And we help you do that by giving you all the data providers in the world, giving you LLMs to improve that data and find new data points that no one would ever have, like is a company SOC 2 compliant, or is it B2B or something way more interesting. And then we let you use those as primitives to run growth campaigns, and the most creative growth campaigns, and we can talk about some of those. And those could be like personalized ads or outbound campaigns or direct mail, and Clay becomes the vehicle by which you run your most creative growth ideas. So coming back to marketing, yeah, I will say brand is very core to our company. We bought Clay.com before we even had any revenue. We have like a full-time claymation artist.
But there
in-house.
wasn't like an art house didn't have like Clay.com, or did you have to like bribe somebody for it?
No, we had to buy it. Yeah.
How much?
A high number that is now appreciated quite a bit.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Before any revenue, we have a full-time claymation artist in-house. Actually, we contracted with him originally. And this is, again, we almost had no revenue.
Oh, you have a clay artist in-house.
Yes.
Okay.
But originally he was a contractor.
Okay.
And we had almost no revenue. And he had a very innovative business model. Okay. So he would like make these blobs, and they're beautiful blobs.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
Gorgeous blobs. But he would have like, he would say, okay, you can get the blob, but it's like $3,000 and you can rent it for a year. And then you'll have to renew it again next year. So it was like SaaS business model for like claymation blobs. But I was obsessed with the blobs, and we all were, so we like paid for the blobs. We had a brand of like 15 people. And yes, like there are a lot of inventive things we do on marketing. And so, but all of these things we don't do just because, for the sake of it, we do it because it's like very core to us, and it's very authentic to who we are. You wouldn't hire the head of brand or have the claymation artist or pay this much money for blobs every year if, when you don't even have revenue, if it wasn't like core to your identity.
Yeah.
We do it because it's like what matters to us, and it's beautiful, and like that's really representative. And over time, as the business has worked, it's turned into like a real differentiator. On the very creative marketing campaigns that we do now, generally speaking, I find that B2B marketing is very boring, extremely boring.
Normally, yeah.
And generally, people look at, like I just saw Philip back there. He's a CRO of Personio, and we had dinner recently. And people would look at Philip, and I mean this with all love in my heart. People would look at him and be like, hey. You probably get your news from Gartner and like Forrester, and that's not true. He doom scrolls LinkedIn just like the rest of us. And so, how do you communicate with Philip or Amelia or any of these people in a way that feels authentic and fresh and interesting, and keep that you know, and do that with some pace. And so we're trying a lot of different things. More recently, we're doing more like my CFO and I are doing these videos where we analyze the ROI of marketing.
I was like, oh, they're talking numbers on the LinkedIn.
Yeah. Or like, hey, Karan, like I want to go to the Super Bowl with 5 prospects and it'll cost $60,000. And he said no. And like, and those are really resonating and getting a lot of traction. And so we're doing a lot of these things that feel authentic to us and help us connect with the audiences, but in new and innovative ways. And I think the reason we're able to do this is we actually hire very non-traditional people to do marketing. So I'll actually give you a fun story of like someone who is not a marketer, but is now doing some of these ideas for us. So this is a little American, but basically she went to school in Texas. And in Texas, they have a law that says you can't have guns publicly.
Yep.
But they had a separate law that said you couldn't have sex toys publicly. So you could have guns publicly, but you couldn't have sex toys publicly.
Okay.
So she thought this was obviously a ridiculous dichotomy. And so she organized a nationwide protest that went viral actually, and where she had thousands of people marching down the streets of Austin carrying dildos saying cocks, not Glocks, you know? And
wait, well, hold on. You hired her because of this, though. This is what you're saying.
This is my point. So my point is that, So my point is that this is whatever you want to.
A protest is kind of a high bar to get a job.
Yeah, I mean, this was actually 10 years ago, and she went into political organizing after that, and then we became friends. We actually almost started the pickleball company before Clay together. So long journey. But the point is that what we just described is many things, but it is also marketing. And how can you see that in people and bring that energy into this? And actually, the person who was working with you on Sarah on like this talk, Sarah also comes from a pretty non-traditional background, and we're trying to like her job is like making these types of engagements more fun and interesting and more engaging and interactive with the audience. And you can tell us later if we succeeded at that.
Let me ask you this, though. On all that, is it working? Like, does it show up in the numbers and the revenue? Like, do you guys get a lot of inbound from it? Like, how much of that translates back into the business?
Yeah. So, I mean, it obviously depends. Some are hits and some are flops. But when you're being this creative, that's going to happen. What I will say unequivocally is we are capturing mindshare a lot. Like just in the last month I've been in Europe, pretty much everyone I've interacted with has actually seen these videos with me and our CFO.
Your CFO,
and they bring it up, you know? And the hardest thing to do in B2B marketing is actually capture mindshare because it's so competitive. There's so many companies out there, forget even in our own space, but just generally so many things are happening. And obviously people are on TikTok and reading the news and there's all these things going on. So the number one thing is, can you capture mindshare? Can you do it obviously in a way that's consistent with your brand and not like that guy at the concert cheating on his wife? Like you don't want that type of attention. And then like how do you translate that to people activating? And so we do see that in it's accelerating deals, it's bringing in new inbound, it's staying top of mind, and when we have a moment when people need Clay, like they're ready to do something.
Okay, that's interesting. I want to touch on recruiting real quick, and then I'll let you do a demo for folks just so that they can understand Clay conceptually before we do the rest. But you mentioned this hiring story of someone who like staged a protest. The thing I see all over LinkedIn for like the last 6 months is we're hiring a go-to-market engineer. We're hiring a go-to-market engineer, and I was like, did Clay like invent the like literally like just manifest the go-to-market engineer into being? So first question, well, one, congrats, because this is like all I see on LinkedIn. Second, okay, let's just do it one at a time. How'd you come up with GTM engineer?
So the origin was actually, I was coming up with a name for our own sales team,
okay,
and not for the role itself that it is now.
Okay.
That was the actual origin. And the reason is, basically I was doing founder-led sales for a while, and was like, okay, let's build out a sales team. I then obviously interviewed a lot of account executives, and more or less didn't feel like any of these people would be a fit to sell Clay. To be honest, at the time, no one really understood Clay. In fact, Amelia backstage was like, I was like, why aren't you guys using Clay yet? It's a mess of products. Obviously, this could help. And she's like, it's too complicated, which is a narrative that we're working on. But but certainly it was too complicated 2-3 years ago when we were selling the sales team, and they couldn't understand the product, despite it being a go-to-market product. And so I was like, okay, why don't I find people like me who are like growth and ops people who are like our customers, and actually that aligns with what we're trying to do. Customer, we're trying to help them. We're trying to help them on their growth journey. It's very consultative. you know, and it's very like product oriented. And we really need that product kind of life cycle and feedback loop.
Yep.
And so we need, that's like the mold we were looking for. And so we tried that as the approach, and thank you so much. Hi. Okay, so we tried that as the approach, and that profile really worked for our sales. And now our sales team is 35 people. We're still hiring those people to do our sales. And of course, we have some traditional AEs. But when I was looking for a name for that, to capture that, Kareem and I were discussing it, and GTM engineer felt really appropriate.
You didn't want to do FDE.
Well, it's not really a forward deployed engineer, because a forward deployed engineer is almost like professional services, where they're actually going on site and setting it all up and whatever. This is a sales role, to be clear, but it's coming from a very different background and a very different thing. Now, the thing is no other company can do this actually, because it only makes sense for us because our product is Clay, and like if you're Figma, you're not going to have your designers sell Figma.
Designers. Other people have this role. They're like,
well, so
we're also hiring a go-to-market engineer.
So now go-to-market engineers, so that's what we, 2-3 years ago, that's what we started as.
Yeah,
and then what we realized in the market is that people were hiring people who looked like our salespeople to use Clay internally.
Yeah, they're copying it.
To use Clay internally as the ops team. And so what it became is, okay, who are the people using Clay and other tools like it to build revenue systems using automation and AI, to run growth experiments, to grow your business? And maybe they're building their own software internally, maybe they're using Clay, maybe they're, all of them are operating with a product and growth mindset, they're iterating quickly, they're experimenting quickly. That became the thing, and then we obviously like enabled that, empowered that, and fueled that. And now we actually even have a go-to-market engineering marketplace that we've launched to match talent to the top companies. Because now the best companies in the world, from Cursor to Framer to Webflow to OpenAI, are all hiring for go-to-market engineers, and so we are matching people in our community to get those jobs now.
You're doing that for free?
We're doing it for free.
Wow, okay. For folks that are either hiring whatever they call it, go-to-market engineer or FD, maybe if they want to hire an FDE,
the FDE thing is really just for the sales thing, so I think it's now just go-to-market engineers.
But what should they look for? Because like I think the thing for me and for probably a lot of folks in this room is like, people don't have this skill. Like it just doesn't exist.
Yeah. So the way I think about it, and maybe even before answering the explicit question, I think what we've just generally seen is the way the org chart in sales used to look like, and still looks like in most companies, is you have SDRs who are prospecting, AEs who are closing deals, RevOps who are maintaining systems. The issue with this is it operates a lot like an assembly line, and assembly lines aren't really good for sharing learnings and scaling ideas. And so the new org chart that we see in all these cutting edge teams is you have like go-to-market engineers, like a few of them, who are building product, basically, using Clay or building their own or coding themselves, sometimes with a data scientist even, to take some of the best ideas that these sales team people are doing and scaling them. And running experiments to seeing what works and what doesn't work.
Okay, so wait, they're taking the best people in the orgs right now and putting them into these roles, is what you've seen?
No. I'm saying they're taking the idea. So let me give you an example.
Yeah, okay.
So Canva, for example. So an SDR might have an idea, but then they'll get promoted, and they won't really tell other people because it's not necessarily their financial interest.
No, they want to hit their quota.
Yeah, they want to hit their quota. So let me give you an example. So Canva, one of their products helps you keep your brand consistent across different social channels. And one SDR had this idea where it was like, hey, what if we do social listening and manually find the people who are posting things that are off-brand and reach out to them?
Okay.
So it turns out a go-to-market engineer at Canva took that idea and scaled it. So they use Clay now to social listen across LinkedIn and Twitter. They use AI to analyze the posts to determine are they on-brand or off-brand. So if they're off-brand, that means they're not meeting certain brand guidelines. Like it's the font is off, or the spacing is off, or the coloring is off. And if that's the case, they use Clay to find the head of brand of the company. They say, hey, you just posted this on Twitter like an hour ago. It doesn't meet your guidelines in these ways. Maybe you should buy our product, right? And that's always running now. That's a play that's always running. And so basically go-to-market engineers are coming up with new ideas, some from the field, some from their own minds, running them in Clay and other products, and iterating on them in a very data-driven way. And to your last question on how do you hire for these people, first we'll help you if you ask, but B, and we have like a whole community that we can like pull from and help you with. But B, what you're looking for are people with a very like systematic mindset, very like data-driven mindset. You know, if you go on our Substack, thegtme.com, we have written like a whole like interview process for the role and like take-homes that you can copy that you can use to kind of evaluate candidates.
Okay, and then just before you do the demo, like when you're personally evaluating candidates for go-to-market engineers in-house at Clay, what's the number one thing you look for?
I'm looking for creativity is the number one thing.
Okay.
And that can usually be demonstrated like in the take home.
Okay. What does this take? Like, what's it like? You give them homework? Like.
Well, we actually have take-homes for every role at Clay.
Okay.
But the take-homes could be like very different. They could be a lot of different things. It could be like, hey, like, here are 3 companies. Come up with 3 creative outbound campaigns for them and build it in Clay, and let's like evaluate that.
And
right?
do you comp candidates to do that, or you just expect them to do that if they want to get the role?
The take-home?
Yeah, the take-home.
It depends. Generally speaking, take-homes at Clay are not compensated. It's just a part of the part of the interview process. If it's for some reason particularly long, we will compensate it.
Okay.
And a lot of roles, like by the way, the woman Sarah you were working with, her first day was actually only yesterday.
Wow.
And because before that, when you were actually working with her, she was on a work trial at Clay. For 2 or 3 weeks. She wasn't even full time.
Okay.
She was on a work trial where we were trying her out, and that is fully compensated.
Okay, and is that standard for like any role at Clay? You guys do a trial? No?
In the early days, we would do work trials for almost every role.
Okay.
Now we don't, because now we know how to interview people and we have a better understanding. But there are certain roles, like Sarah's, where it's hard to interview for, it's hard to evaluate for in a traditional process. So we opt to do a work trial instead.
Okay, let's give people a little context. So Varun's going to come to the desk. We're going to swap. He's going to do a demo.
Wow, I'm getting upgraded, guys.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Come on up here.
Okay, so we're gonna just do a quick demo to kind of get people an understanding of Clay and get a sense, but it's gonna be interactive. So what I want is a couple volunteers to basically give me their LinkedIn URL.
So
Okay, we got one person. Do you know your LinkedIn URL? It's just
hold on, Garrett will hand you the mic and you can say it to Varun.
It's just gonna be linkedin.com/in and then there's a handle. I can also Google your name if you forget.
Yes, please. It's Milo AI. You can search for that.
How do I say it again?
Spell it.
M-I-L-O. Oh, you need to search Google for my. If you want to find
Milo.
AI.
AI LinkedIn.
It's like a personal brand thing. Down.
Nope, that's Join Milo.
That one. Yeah.
This guy. Okay, this guy right here. That's you. Okay, perfect. Wow, 15,000 followers. Popular man. Okay, so we're going to take this. Okay, we're going to do that. Okay, amazing. Anyone else want to volunteer? Okay, we got one person back there.
Hold on, we'll bring you the mic.
Do you have it or should I Google it?
Sure. It's just my first name and last name.
Okay.
Michael, M-I-C-H-A-L dash Y-E-H-O-S-H-U-A. Y-E-H-O-S-H-U-A.
Like that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, one more volunteer? Yeah, whoever's closest.
Whoever's closest to you.
It's Francis Osifo.
Francis?
O-S-I-F-O.
O-S-I?
F-O.
F-O.
Yes.
Like that? Okay. Okay. So let's get into it. All right, so basically, what I'm going to show you is like an inbound workflow. Now remember, we talked earlier, there's only a few ways you can grow a business, right? Inbound, outbound, and expanding your existing customers. Inbound and outbound are actually the same thing. It's just, where's your lead originating from, right? And so I did that form with you guys to get like something as an inbound point. And we're going to walk through a workflow that covers 70% of Clay's functionality. And we'll give everyone like a really good overview. Okay, so let's say you signed up for this thing. And, and we've gotten a few people here. We got Milo, we got Michael, and we got Francis. Amazing. And look, we got a bunch of information about these people. So we know we got Francis right here. He's signing up at Rada.co. He's an angel investor. He's CEO of Rada. We got a bunch of info about him. We have Milo over here. He says he's a family dad, very sweet. Founder. We got a lot of information on Milo. He's in Denmark. Okay, look, it's the right person. 15,611 followers. So still just as popular on Clay. Okay, great. So we got a bunch of information, and let's see what more we can find. So we got his LinkedIn profile, we got the companies that they work at, we got the domains, and we're getting some more information. Okay, so we know that Francis is a founder, we know that Milo is doing growth, which we know that Michael is a CMO. And we actually have all their past experiences here too. So we can search through this however we want. We know every single title and job they've ever had, basically. This is obviously like a wealth of information that we can do things with. And then we check to make sure that we know their domain is correct. And then we're actually going to find out like how senior is the role, right? So imagine someone signing up for your product. You want to know, are they like a C-level person or are they like something else? Yep. So we have like an AI column here that's analyzing the job titles to determine how senior they are, and then categorizing it into like CXO, VP, director, head of, something like that. So that's pretty useful qualification. And you can see the AI prompt over here on the right, and how it's like qualifying it into all the different kind of levels of a role. And then we see, okay, how big are these companies to help qualify it? Sales headcount, like how many people are on their sales team, that's pretty useful. We can even scrape their website and like get a bunch of information for their website. Then you can search off that and be like, do they have information on the website that could indicate if they're a good fit? As an example, last night I was talking to someone running a benefits company, and you can imagine they would want to scrape a company's website to determine, hey, what benefits are you offering your employees? Yeah. And that would be on a website. Are they giving fertility? Things like that. Then you want to get your work email. So we got Francis' email, Michael's email, and Milo's email. And we were able to do this because we have a waterfall. And so at Clay, we're able to use, we have 150 data vendors in Clay, and we do this thing called waterfalling, where we try lots of different vendors to get you the data. And if it doesn't come in the first one, we try the next one. And then we'll also validate the emails as well. And so you can see that through all of this.
Like you just expanded the waterfall right now, basically.
Yeah, I just expanded the waterfall, and you can see that that's what enables us to get like the highest coverage, because we try so many vendors to make sure that we are like getting the right email. Okay, so that's great. And then we want to find something about the company that we can use in email to reach out. And so we got like the mission here for Rada and YStep and Riff. We got like a one-liner about each of them. I can show you even the AI prompt that we wrote here. So you're writing a sentence about a company, you want to understand what they do, and you're giving a lot of constraints so that you can have a one-liner that you can include in an email. You're also seeing, okay, who their customers are. And then what I'm doing here is I'm actually going to create a meme. And so for all these people, for Francis, Michael, and Milo, they're going to get a LinkedIn message soon, and I can show you what the meme is for the meme to make it even more engaging. And I'll show you guys what the meme is too.
But can you pick something that's not a meme if they don't want to do a meme?
Well, I have a nice message for them too.
Okay.
Yes, we have like a meme for the vibes and a thoughtful line for the sales.
Okay.
And so, okay, so we're creating a meme here. You can see we're just actually doing a random meme selection and then taking the data from their LinkedIn profile to personalize the meme for them. Okay, so we do that. Should we look at the memes? Okay, so so this is Francis's meme. Y'all got any more of that seamless global IT onboarding? Rada's got you. It's pretty good. Let's look at Michael's. Wow, Michael, 2x exits, new categories, keynote vibes, mental riffs. Pretty good. And let's look at Milo's. Let Milo build momentum. Let's go. So that's pretty good. And then we're actually using Clay to do a lot more very creative research on websites to get new unique data points, right? So we are doing like GTM research. We can see what this one is trying to do. To get a lot of unique information about their go-to-market strategies that you can then use in your email outreach, right? Because hey, your outreach, this is the way you do go-to-market. Here's how you can use Clay to accelerate that, right? So it's very tailored. You also probably want to know, hey, here are some unique data points that these businesses care about, and then you can in your email be like, hey, Clay can help you and find these unique data points in these ways, right? Other qualification details or like your funding. Information, we get that from a lot of different sources. So again, you can see how we have a waterfall from Harmonic and Crunchbase and things like that.
How do people sort through all this, right? So let's say this is your campaign, people are signing up. What do they do with all this next?
Right, so this is basically a very comprehensive workflow to do a number of things, right? This is trying to understand who's signing up to your product, figure out if they are a good prospect, qualifying them, and then trying to score them to determine how good of a prospect, where they land. And this is, by the way, workflows that Anthropic, Figma, Cursor are all using Clay to power. And then, if they you know who they are a good prospect, you've qualified them accordingly. How do you then create some language for them over LinkedIn or email or whatever to reach out to them and get them going, you know, and then do that very quickly. And so that's what you're trying to accomplish here in like one comprehensive workflow. And then you even score it. So you have here, like here are the scores for like whether this is like a good fit, and you can like set up a very custom score. And then lastly, we're coming up with a couple of things here, right? So what you've also done is we've created a research brief for the sales rep who's gonna take the call. So if I go here, I'm gonna see Michael's like research brief, and this is like a full document that's been created for the sales rep about Michael and his company that they can read prior to their like meeting.
And will this tie any of their data, or is this all just what you found on like the internet?
This is all what's online.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all what's online, and what they submitted in the form.
Okay.
And so you have so much here, right? You have non-traditional data points that you can suggest. You have like obviously a bio on them. You have like all this research that's been done. You have financials on the company. So we can look at another one. Maybe we look at Milo's. So again, like a very comprehensive brief here that you can bring up, and then that's like call prep for the rep. You can send the Slack message, and then you can see here. Here's the here is the message, and so you can send the message over LinkedIn. Boom, and then lastly, you'll want to update this in your CRM, and so you can check, hey, have they already engaged with us in any way? If not, here you go, and then updating the record in the CRM.
And is it CRM agnostic? Or
Yeah, we can use any CRM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is basically a very comprehensive workflow for inbound that covers a lot of different bases, from qualification to scoring to CRM upload to sending them a message, and then you can pretty much implement immediately to kind of like get your inbound kind of working. And so many companies, like for example Cursor, they had so many free users using their product, didn't know who they were, saw an immediate revenue uplift because now they knew who they were, they could convert them into revenue.
Yep. So it's not just, you know, like trying to get new leads into the funnel. It's also they can use it to like nurture basically inbound qualifications. Yep.
Yeah. And so really, I mean, it's very flexible. Yes, totally. Inbound or taking your existing customers and dramatically upselling them, figuring out where they work, how can you upsell them there, and then putting them into this funnel and then reaching out to them.
Okay. Do you still want like 2 more volunteers or?
To do some growth hacking?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. If there's 2 new volunteers, there's one there. We're gonna actually bring you up on stage.
Well, let's just give them a heads up of what's gonna happen, so they know what they're signing up for.
Okay.
So
before you raise your hand.
What we're basically gonna do some live growth hacking, and what that more or less entails is you should ideally have some growth problem in your business, and we will help you with it basically.
Yeah.
And so you would come up, tell us a little bit about your business. Tell us, like, you know, who your customer is and what growth problem you have, and we will try live to brainstorm a solution.
Yeah. So with that being said, we need 2 people. So if you still want to do, okay. So 1, and then do we have another volunteer? Oh, like we have already done yours.
Well, there's one in the back.
Oh yes.
There's 2 in
Come
the back.
on up, in the hat. Let's do it.
This guy is also very enthusiastic over here in the sweater, but maybe we only have 2.
Where? The lights are bright. Come on up. Okay, what's your name? Say hi to SaaStr.
Hey guys, my name is Martin.
Yeah.
I'm like a senior marketing operations manager at a health and wellbeing platform. So we sell globally, and I work quite closely with SDR teams.
Sorry, say that one more time about the company.
Say again.
Just tell me the company again one more time.
The campaign?
No, just repeat the company. I just missed what you were saying.
My name's Martin. I'm from a company called Personify Health.
Okay, great.
And I work in marketing ops, but working really closely with SDRs, trying to roll out agents, trying to look at how we can boost revenue through kind of SDR outreach.
Okay. And what is like the main problem like you're trying to solve? Is it like the SDR outreach, or what is the?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the main problem that I'm dealing with at the moment is kind of how we implement those kind of AI agents. We're still kind of primarily human-based. We have like 8 SDRs. The problems about kind of phasing out SDRs and phasing in agents, and kind of, you know, how to do that delicately, and the time to roll this out, right? The time to kind of like, it would be me doing this. It would kind of be building this with someone on kind of artisan or qualified. finding the time to do that, basically.
Yeah. So first, I would just say that we actually don't see that many companies like firing SDRs, to be clear. Like what we actually see, I mean, even Clay, we're hiring Clay DRs, and they're using Clay obviously, but they are also they're doing phone calls, they're doing very high touch multi-threading, so they are still doing work that isn't really replaceable in many ways. But
I think actually we want them to focus on their calls, like on their outbound calls.
Right.
If we are kind of automating mail sequences on their behalf through HubSpot.
Yeah.
But if we can get more nuanced, more personalized, etc., that's where we want.
So I think it would be helpful to kind of understand what is the most manual work they're doing right now, and then we can decompose that to like how you can build that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the most manual reach is a lot of discovery through Zoom info, acquiring contacts. Like they're all quite cold then, so it's kind of filling the pipeline where inbound is not necessarily bringing in kind of warmer contacts. We're bringing in top of funnel through marketing. It's kind of acquiring and finding those contacts that are like decision purchase.
Got it.
For them to kind of outreach to.
Got it. And like the complicated bit, why it's manual is because there's like complicated account hierarchies or things like that.
We've got 2 different products. We've got different like market segments. Like there's just a lot of kind of nuance in the 2 products we're selling to. So we've got kind of senior HR managers as one kind of target audience. And then we've kind of got like consultants, brokers who sell health insurance in the US as like a completely different audience.
Got it.
So there's a lot of nuance, a lot of different teams, etc.
Yeah. Okay. So I think for this, this by the way, I think is a relatively straightforward workflow you could build in Clay. This would obviously be like different workflows for different audiences. But basically, like I actually used to work in health insurance, so I like deeply understand that market. This is a market that's actually very offline to some degree because a lot of health insurance brokers in the U.S. are working in brokerages that are mom and pop brokerages, right? So for that, what I would recommend is actually you can use Google Maps or OpenMart to get a lot of the small health insurance brokerages. Fun fact for the people, like health insurance brokerage is like a $2 trillion market and is unbelievably fragmented. The biggest players in the market are like 5% of the market, so super fragmented. So I would use things like Google Maps and stuff like that to pull it up. And then what you could do is you could take that information and you can like I would use things like Google reviews and Yelp reviews and things like that to get unique insight about pain that they're feeling. Like I don't know what exactly your product does, but maybe it helps them respond to their customers. Maybe like you could find pain for the brokerages through their Google reviews and their Yelp reviews, and then you can use that to reach out to them, and then you can use Clay to find the people who work there. Now again, because they're offline, a lot of them are not going to have LinkedIn profiles, is my guess. But a lot of these health brokerages will actually have like an About Us page on their website with their team. You can use Clay to scrape the website and use AI to analyze it to tell you who all the people are, and then use Clay to find the work emails. So that would be like a workflow that you would set up here. And if you don't have the bandwidth internally, which it sounds like you don't, you could hire like an agency, and we can recommend some that could help you do this.
Yeah, that sounds great, thank you. Our other market is kind of like well-being, so we have like a well-being platform, and then in the US it's like TPA, or like third-party administration, so we're selling those 2 products. So the well-being side and the HR leaders is kind of the easy bit. Like we're selling to employers.
Right, that's more straightforward,
Absolutely, I think one question, if that's okay. I did something similar to this earlier in the year with Copy AI, so building out kind of workflows, nowhere as in-depth as this. One of the big issues we had is just kind of getting the LinkedIn profile URLs in the first place. Like we were pushing in tables of URLs. If we got a wrong URL,
doesn't work.
And we were even trying to kind of like say, how confident are you that this URL is the correct person? Is it the right job title? Like we were getting 60% correct, 40% with it, and then obviously we're going through this whole process for the complete wrong person.
So I'd say a couple things. First, we unequivocally, I think, have the highest data quality in the market, and we've proven that through a lot of our data tests. And so for like OpenAI or Anthropic, we took their data quality on this precise point that you're asking from 30-ish% to north of 90%. So just on that alone, you should get to way fewer errors. But it can also still be an issue to your business if you reach out to someone, it's not the right person, it could be a brand hit. And so we create a lot of checks and balances in a workflow using AI to determine if like, is this the right person, is it not? And then also you can even have a human in the loop if you're particularly brand conscious to make sure before anything goes out, and you can set up a workflow to do that too.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Everybody give Martin a round of applause. Thank you. Adam, welcome. You're our next victim. Just kidding.
Great. No, looking forward to it. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you
nice to meet you.
Hey, Adam.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Abel. I recently joined Axia, AXYA, as Vice President of Sales and Marketing. The best way to convey what it is that we do, especially to an audience of go-to-market professionals, who was listening to the Momentum, just hands up, the Momentum
podcast?
Presentation.
Before this, yeah.
Before this. A few hands, great. So essentially what Axia is we sit on top of an ERP the same way that you have sales enablement tools that sit on top of a CRM.
Yeah.
And I think like the evolution of the CRM space and go-to-market, as you can see here, there's so much energy and excitement about that. And ERPs are probably 20 to 30 years behind.
Sure.
We focus on the manufacturing space in terms of helping manufacturers with their RFQs and purchase orders and the relationships between buyers and suppliers. And this is a very challenging industry to penetrate. They're not like going to functions like this necessarily, and they're not energetic. They're not out on LinkedIn, and they're like living in spreadsheets and the grind of factories and things like that. So we're very much like category definers in that way, and for that reason, like we don't have necessarily a lot of signals that we can lean on.
Yeah.
So we've leveraged different things such as top of funnel, demand gen, like awareness campaigns and education, so that we can try to find our ICPs. And that's where tools like this become very interesting.
Yeah.
Because we have a great product market fit. We integrate directly with ERPs, and we can update information bi-directional sync. Like the product is very mature in that regard. The challenge is that no one really knows that it's a problem. It's the status quo pain, like similar to Salesforce for decades. It was like reps got to to update their fields, and I think that that's the same thing with ERPs. And we really just want to be that system of action that lives on top of that system of record.
I think I totally hear you that maybe I might challenge you on this particular audience on if they really are as offline as you're making it out to be, because we actually work with a bunch of companies that are in this space, and they have successfully, I can't really share their tactics, but they have found a lot of signals that work in outreach for this particular audience. But let's just assume for a moment that they are not online and they are...
Maybe just to clarify, we know that there are signals out there. We just don't have the marketing presence, and we don't have tools like this to capture it.
Got it.
Like for example, if someone's hiring a buyer on LinkedIn, like we could reach out and say, have you considered a tool like Axia instead of hiring more buyers and things like that?
Yeah. So that obviously, I think it's more like identifying what they are and then building workflows around it. But I think also in this situation, I might lean more on other like growth levers and not just outbound, because if you don't, basically brand and performance are very linked. And if you don't have awareness, like you're saying, the performance marketing is not going to work for you as well as if your awareness was higher. And so what I might do is like deprioritize like outbound campaigns to start and actually prioritize things like community building and events and field marketing to drive community, bring them closer, and then start with that, and then you have a higher base on which like outbound might start working.
Yeah, I think so, because like the signals are there, but it's a problem that like I said, it's sort of a status quo. It's become normalized, like this deviant behavior of like there's better ways to do it, but it's just sort of like this. Manufacturing, they're not early adopters.
Right.
There's not,
so it's kind of like you have to build that human connection.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's also, by the way,
there's a better way to do this.
That's also an opportunity for you to build that connection, because if they're not convening, humans are innately kind of curious and connected. It's like, how can you do that?
Yeah, we typically take like that advisory consultative sort of approach and just understand their business and then try to prescribe that.
But I do think you can even like start like a WhatsApp group with all these people and like try to build a community proactively.
No, it's interesting.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks Adam. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Adam.
I'll swap you back. Okay. Let me see how much time we have left. We have a little bit of time. We have a little bit of time. So a couple things I want to dive in on, just because we've seen now like we've given people context on what Clay can actually do. So thanks for doing that. Where do you see most people, like, what's your most typical use case of the product? Is it like an AI SDR? Is it something else? Like, I feel like people only think of it maybe as like enrichment.
Yeah, I mean, enrichment is definitely a starter use case.
Yeah.
Like, and we will like help you dramatically improve your data enrichment quality, and we will do like a data test with you, and you can use the waterfalls, and you could get very custom data points. Like Waste Management uses Clay actually, and they use Clay because this is a very custom, unique data point.
Yeah.
They want to know who their customers are, so they use Google Maps to get satellite images, AI to analyze the images, to determine like what color the trash cans are outside people's houses, to look and see if that's a very unique data point that a vendor is never going to have.
But what are they doing with that? They're like,
and then
you
they're like,
need
okay,
more
they're using a
bins.
competitor,
Yeah.
or they're using us, and because they sell through a lot of subsidiaries, so they don't actually always know who their customers are.
Okay.
And then if they're not using them, they can then market to them in different ways.
Got it. Okay.
So that's a very unique data point.
Yep.
That's a starting off point. And then you can also use Clay on top of that to do very creative growth campaigns. So that could be, hey, I'm using direct mail campaigns to send customized cookie jars or whatever to people, or I'm doing like very personalized, targeted outbound campaigns, or I'm converting inbound like the workflow we just showed.
Yep.
And those are like more standard use cases of Clay.
Okay, so you've talked a little bit about like inbound and outbound as like a total go-to-market.
Yeah.
So for you guys, like because you are an AI company, where do you have maybe guardrails or just rules on your internal team on how they can use AI? Like, are you like, do whatever you want with AI, or like, what's the status
I would
quo?
say we're like pretty agnostic. Like we try to let people, we're very bottoms up. And so if people want to use Cursor or this or that, like we're very open-minded. I will say, like, I think we are less, we're an AI company, we're obviously, it's very like forward-thinking company, very progressive. I will say we're less, I think basically there's a lot of talk on the internet of like AI is the default for everything.
Yeah.
And like you see the new like Open Door CEO and they send the memo, or the new Shopify CEO, they send these memos and they're like, use AI or you're not going to be here at all, you know? And I don't think that's necessarily the right approach. You know, in marketing, for example, marketing is all about standing out. You know what large language models are all about? Not standing out. They're all about reverting to the mean, actually. And that's literally what they're doing. They're synthesizing a lot of information and giving you kind of a synthesis of it. And so if you use it for writing or marketing, you are kind of defeating the whole point of marketing. In coding, you know, it's great, all these AI coding products in Claude and Cursor, whatever, are great products. But the issue and trade-offs with them is our engineers like understand less of the code that they're actually writing, you know, or making more mistakes, issues, can't debug it faster. You know, so there are all these very like tricky trade-offs with all this that I feel like people don't talk about. And so, for example, we don't really want our team to use Clay for writing internally and for marketing. Like we want that to come from the soul.
Okay, but do you use it for sales?
I mean, we use Clay to do like pre-meeting notes, right? We use Clay to automate highly targeted outbound campaigns.
Okay.
But the humans are coming up with the creative ideas to iterate and experiment with.
Okay, understood. And then when it comes to recruiting those humans, how many are you guys now?
We're like 250 people.
Okay, so of those 250 people, how many did you have to like, did you train everybody on Clay? Like how many kind of got it? Or like how did you hire for something that's like, it's not really out there in the market, right? You're like, okay, I'm gonna go in kind of dark.
Yeah, well I mean, you only kind of need the Clay expertise for the customer facing roles. And for everyone else, we have like a Clay boot camp that you go through at the beginning of at the beginning of the company when you onboard and you learn the product and you learn everything. But look, I think what we're looking for is like underlying skills. Like, are you technical? Or do you like playing in tools? We have a take-home that's about Clay usage, right? Do you have a systematic mindset? Are you data-driven? All these kind of like core attributes. And then we evaluate for that and we hire for that. And then we have like a rigorous kind of take-home and interview process that tests for that. Okay.
Because I know you got to do a podcast in like 2 minutes. So maybe like.
We got time. We got 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. A couple last questions then. When you've hired people, has there been anything that stood out to you the most? Like, is there an attribute, something where you're like, okay, I know this person, take-home test or not, is probably going to meet the bar, and this person is not?
I actually try not to think about a bar per se.
Or like a gut feeling. No, you're just like.
There are things when I meet someone that stand out.
Sure.
And that are like, okay, this is interesting, and we should spend more time here. You know, And what are some of those signals, right? Like maybe it's creativity and creative ideas. Maybe it's they've taught me something in the conversation.
Okay.
Maybe it's like the sheer passion for the product, and they've demonstrated that by going deep on the product and explaining all this feedback. We're deeply understanding our vision in a way that very few people do, even our own employees do sometimes, you know? And so there are these like things that can stand out when you originally meet someone, but ultimately what we're trying to do is just evaluate fit, right? And so, for example, like, and like other unique things that you don't expect, like we hired a head of recruiting, but the head of recruiting is like a quasi-engineer who taught herself how to code because she was an engineering recruiter and was trying to build empathy and like builds like Salesforce integrations on the side and stuff. And like you don't see that often in a recruiting leader, you know? And so like there are unique attributes that you try to pay attention to, but it's a little less about like, do they have this quality or that? It's more like, and we have values that we care about, like low ego and negative maintenance. But really what it's like, we're just trying to understand who the human is and try to get as much information about them as possible and try to map that to what we need and like see if this fits. So actually we hire a ton of generalists, but none of them do generalist roles in the company. Everyone commits. So that's why we have archaeologists doing customer success and farmers doing sales and whatever. People like we find kind of the unique people who are passionate, and that's where there's alpha in hiring actually, when you find unique people who don't fit. But then like looking deeply to their underlying qualities and how you can translate that to the work you need done.
And just taking one step back on that, like when you open up a role, how many applicants do you get on average? Like a ton, right?
A ton, yeah.
A ton.
Yeah.
So how do you weed from like the thousands of people that are signing up to each role to even get to that stage where you're like, okay, we're gonna take these 1,000 people, maybe go down to what, 20?
Well, to be honest, a lot of the people, like, I mean, we use Clay to automate the evaluation of a lot of the inbound candidates, but also people reach out to us in different ways, right? And you can stand out and like, and we see that like to fill a lot of the roles too. So that's kind of how it's.
Okay, so most of the time it's like you have a job posted, but you don't actually expect people to like apply. You know, you're like.
I mean, people do. People apply, and we
have you hired anybody though?
Yes,
from like
of course.
That? Okay,
yes, we definitely have, and we do dutifully like look through it, but it's a lot of noise.
It's a lot.
But usually the people who apply also do something else to help them stand out.
Okay, so they're kind of, but like just explain this. Like, how do they get the ethos already? Like. You know, you post a role, half of it's maybe fluff. You get a bunch of people just auto-applying on LinkedIn or auto-applying on your Clay table. Like, how do you break through that to say, like, to inherently already put into people, like, okay, they already know if they've looked up Clay that they're going to reach out to you or try and do something to your team that's creative to get the role. Because I feel like most people don't do that these days. Like, they're so lazy. They just auto-apply everywhere.
They don't, but I think those are not people who are going to be good fits at Clay because they don't demonstrate high agency.
Fair.
And then two, I think we put out beacons for people we want, right? We speak very loudly about the fact that we hire very non-traditional people. So non-traditional people reach out to us.
Fair.
When we hire these non-conventional people for sales roles, a lot of sales leaders are like, that'll stop at like 5 people. And it's now 35 people. And it may stop 5 people from now.
Yeah.
But when you're the only one looking for this type of role, people will find you.
Yeah. Okay. Any last things you want to hit before you gotta go?
No, I think we've covered a lot, and I really appreciate like everyone's engagement and the interactivity. You'll have to keep us honest on if this met the bar of like feeling special and interesting.
And if they want to reach you, how can they do that?
Yeah, I think message me on LinkedIn, message me on Twitter, email me. I'm just varun@clay.com. And look, we're here. We're launching into Europe, and so we're making a big push. We're opening up an office here in London. If you're interested in like a sales role or customer success role or support role here in London.
Yeah, you've set the bar a little high during the session.
It's good. You should let me know. Reach out to us. We wanna talk to you. Give product feedback. Use the product. Demonstrate your passion. But yeah, we're really excited about Europe. Really excited to make a big splash here and commit. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming to SaaStr.
All right, thanks guys.